multi-party system. But a multi-party system must not be mistaken for a democratic system. Pluralism must not be mistaken for a democratic system. That is why people demanded that the republic must be restored and election must be restored. But because people were used to patronage, used to deriving power from those who are empowered by supporting them because of inducement or intimidation, that inducement and intimidation continued into what is termed as the Second Republic. We became a Second Republic because of the transformation of the country, but it was not a Second Republic in terms of implementation of the constitutional provisions. Even though the first chapter affirmed that the sovereignty of the Gambia resides in the people, and all authority must be derived from the consent of the people, and must be exercised to promote their general welfare, that element of general welfare was no longer an issue under the Gambia administration, because the state assumed absolutist credentials and a quasi-monarchy existed. Constitutions were not respected. Executive orders were the order of the day, and people just obeyed the command. So it is important to realize that because of the usurpation of power and the disempowering of the people and made them powerless and voiceless, created the type of situation which led to the impasse of 2016 and 2017. The participation of the youth is presumed, but there should be no presumption. I will iterate. It is important for us to understand what really happened before we can understand where we are to go from here. What happened after 1996, where almost 88% participated in the elections, according to records. 2001, where they said 90% participated. 2006, 59. 2011, they said 82. And 2016, they said 59 of the electorate participated. These are all statistics. But what was real is that the opposition was marginalized. They could not articulate the problems of the people. They had no access to the national media. They had no access to resources. And in many instances, people were losing faith that change would come through the ballot. So two tactics emerged in 2012. One tactic was for the opposition to galvanize, to struggle for electoral reform, and facilitate change to the ballot box. And the other was to mobilize the population for uprising. Many Gambians had been so oppressed that they had to leave the country and had no hope of coming back without change. And they had no faith that the opposition could effect that change. So consequently, activities continue to support these two processes: mass uprising or consolidation of the opposition to effect change to development. Up to August 2016, the course the country had to take to effect change was yet to be decided. Opinions were divided. The GAMBIA administration decided to consolidate its absolutism by, first and foremost, using fear as a tactic. That is why the execution, after a moratorium on the death penalty, execution took place in 2011. The opposition felt that it was necessary to make proposal for electoral reform because the situation was worsening. They also made proposals for electoral reform. 2013, the Gambia became more isolated as the government refused to even bow down to the criticisms of its traditional partners who helped immensely in building infrastructure in the country. And it had a big hitch with the EU in 2013. It eventually had to leave the Commonwealth, had to leave the ICC, as it galvanized its absolute power. Internally, it changed electoral laws. What used to be a deposit of 10,000 for presidential candidates went to 500,000. Political parties that used to pay few $100, 500, if my memory serves me right, to register political parties went to $1 million. So it was very clear that the government increasingly was making it impossible for change to come to development. And one can understand the sense of hopelessness at that time. At that material time, the fundamental question was the way forward. Two tactics were evident. One tactic was to galvanize the opposition so that they will have only one penny. So that they could have only one penny. And ultimately, there is a book I'm writing on the impasse. Hopefully it will soon be in your hands. And that will really analyze it. It is the acceptance to come together on a non-partisan basis. And that's my recommendation. If you want peaceful change on the continent, the agenda must change. Wherever there is tyranny, the population as a whole must come together with one agenda to effect change, not for its sake or to put anybody in power or any party in power, but change to build a new republic where you have a transitional government that will not be partisan, but that will harness the intelligence, collective intelligence of the citizenry to have constitutional reform, electoral reform, economic reform, and ensure that that person who comes into office will be a transitional figure. The shorter the better. 2 years, 3 years, 1 year, the shorter the better, so that the people will actually take charge. That's one recommendation I make. If you want peaceful change, that's how it must come. Because what happens is the military The police, all sectors of society will not see any threat from anybody and will be part of nation building. So peace building must be linked to nation building. Without that, you cannot have peaceful change. Without that, that peace cannot last forever. Recommendation number 2, we must ensure that the progressive youth take part in promoting that nation building, that spirit of nationhood. That's why in our struggle we promoted one Gambia, one nation, one people, in order to get rid of ethno-linguistic chauvinism, religious chauvinism, male-female chauvinism, so that the people will see that they own the Gambia collectively, they should save their country. So it is important that to be borne in mind. Lastly, it is important for the young people to begin to articulate what is required to be sovereign citizens. You cannot have a sovereign republic without a sovereign people. And that sovereign person is you. You must be a new Gambian before you can have a new Gambia.